Let's talk about patterns. Let's talk about habits. Let's talk about the way we've been taught to respond when someone pulls away. From the time we were young, we were conditioned to believe that if someone distances themselves from us, the right thing to do is close that gap. If they stop calling, we should call more. If they lose interest, we should try harder. If they withdraw, we should move closer. And we do this because deep down we think their withdrawal means something about us. We think it's a reflection of our worth. We think if we just show them how much we care, if we just prove ourselves, they'll see us, they'll value us, they'll finally give us the love or recognition or respect we crave. But let's be real, how often does that actually work? How many times have you run after someone who was running from you, only to feel more rejected, more drained, more lost? How many times have you poured your energy into convincing someone to choose you, only to realize that the more you chased, the less they valued you? Here's the truth no one tells you. The more you chase, the less they respect you. That's not because you're not good enough. It's not because you don't deserve love or appreciation. It's because human nature doesn't work the way we were taught. People don't value what they don't have to work for. They don't appreciate what they feel entitled to. They don't respect what they think they can take for granted. So, here's where everything changes. Instead of following the old pattern, trying harder, proving more, showing up bigger, you're going to flip the script. You're going to do the opposite of what they expect. They pull away. Instead of stepping closer, you step back. They stop calling. Instead of filling the silence with your own effort, you embrace the quiet. They take you for granted. Instead of working harder to earn their appreciation, you stop giving them access to you so freely. Now, I know what you might be thinking, but if I stop trying, won't they just forget about me? If I don't chase, won't I lose them completely? If I let go, won't that mean I don't care? And that's the fear that keeps people stuck. That's the belief that keeps them running in circles, chasing people who aren't even looking back. But let's break that down. If someone only stays in your life because you're the one doing all the work to keep them there, do they really care about you? If you have to constantly prove your worth to be valued, was your worth ever truly recognized? If your presence in someone's life depends on your effort alone, are they choosing you, or are they just accepting your energy without reciprocating it? The truth is, when you stop chasing, one of two things will happen. One, the person who truly values you, who truly respects you, who genuinely cares, will notice the shift. They'll realize what they took for granted. They'll recognize your absence, and if they actually want you in their life, they will step up. Or two, the person who was only sticking around because it was convenient for them, who never truly valued you, who was using your effort as a crutch, will drift away. Not because you weren't enough, but because they were never willing to invest in you the way you invested in them. And while that might feel like a loss, it's actually a gift. Because why would you want someone in your life who doesn't see your value? Why would you waste your energy proving your worth to someone who never appreciated it in the first place? Flipping the script isn't about playing games. It's not about manipulation. It's about reclaiming your power. It's about recognizing that you don't have to chase to be worthy. You don't have to prove to be valuable. You don't have to beg to be loved. The moment you start operating from a place of self-respect instead of fear, everything shifts. You start showing up differently. You start setting boundaries. You start demanding more. Not with your words, but with your actions. And when you do that, something incredible happens. You stop attracting people who expect you to do all the work. You stop wasting your time on those who don't appreciate you. You stop feeling drained by relationships that take and take and take without ever giving back. Instead, you start attracting people who meet you where you are, people who value your presence, people who don't need to be convinced to care about you. And the best part? You start feeling free. Because when you stop chasing, you realize that the people who are meant for you will never require you to lose yourself just to keep them. They will choose you, not because you begged them to, not because you proved yourself, but because they see you, because they value you, because they respect you. And that's what you deserve. Always. Let's talk about self-worth, not as some cliche, not as some vague concept, but as the foundation of everything in your life. Because here's the truth. Every single thing you experience, every relationship you build, every opportunity you attract, every boundary you set, it all comes back to how you see yourself. Your self-worth is the filter through which you experience the world. It determines how you let people treat you, how you respond to challenges, and how much you demand from life. It's not just an idea, it's the root of your reality. And yet most people don't even realize when their self-worth is compromised. Think about this. How often do you tolerate things that make you feel small? How many times have you let someone take advantage of your kindness? How often have you silenced your needs, put yourself last, or settled for less than what you know you deserve? And why? Because deep down, you believed that's just how things were. You believed that asking for more was risky. You believed that standing up for yourself meant you might lose people. But what if I told you that self-worth isn't about what you tell yourself in the mirror? It's not just about affirmations. It's not just about knowing your value. It's about what you accept. Self-worth is the voice inside you that says, this isn't good enough for me. And self-worth is the action that follows that voice. It's the moment you stop making excuses for people who don't show up for you. It's the moment you walk away from situations that drain you. It's the moment you stop shrinking yourself to fit into spaces that were never meant for you. And here's where it gets even deeper. Self-worth isn't loud. It doesn't scream for attention. It doesn't beg to be noticed. It doesn't fight for people to see its value. It's quiet but powerful because people feel it. People can sense when you value yourself. They can sense when you don't need their validation. They can feel when you walk into a room and own your space without seeking approval. And the moment they feel that, everything shifts. Think about someone you admire, someone who carries themselves with confidence, who seems to naturally command respect. Do they chase? Do they beg for attention? Do they settle for the bare minimum? No. They expect respect because they embody respect. And that's the shift. When you start valuing yourself, you don't have to fight for people to see your worth. You don't have to prove anything. You simply exist in a way that makes it impossible for people to ignore your presence. But let's be real, getting to that point, because self-worth requires unlearning. It requires undoing years of conditioning that taught you to equate your value with other people's opinions. It requires breaking patterns of seeking validation through external sources. It requires stepping into discomfort, the discomfort of saying no, the discomfort of walking away, the discomfort of trusting that you deserve better, even when part of you still doubts it. And that's where most people get stuck, because self-worth isn't always rewarded immediately. Sometimes when you start valuing yourself, you'll lose people. Some won't like your boundaries. Some will resent your confidence. Some will try to make you feel guilty for expecting more. Why? Because they benefited from your lack of self-worth. They benefited from you accepting less. They benefited from you tolerating their inconsistency. They benefited from you being so afraid of losing them that you let them walk all over you. And when you start changing, when you start standing firm, when you stop allowing behavior that disrespects you, they have two choices: step up or step out. And that's the test, because self-worth isn't just about knowing what you deserve. It's about being willing to lose anything that doesn't align with that truth. It's about understanding that rejection isn't a loss when it comes from someone who wasn't treating you right in the first place. It's about realizing that the right people will never require you to compromise your dignity to keep them. And it's about seeing that the moment you start valuing yourself, you stop settling. Not just in relationships, but in everything. Because when you know your worth, you stop playing small. You stop wasting time on things that drain you. You stop giving energy to people who don't pour into you. You stop begging for things that should be freely given. And you start attracting better. Not because you're playing a game, not because you're trying to be difficult, but because people rise to the standard you set for yourself. And when you embody self-worth, the world adjusts accordingly. Let's get one thing straight. When someone pulls away, when they treat you like an option, when they act like they don't see your value, you have two choices. One, you can lower yourself. You can start chasing. You can make yourself smaller. You can beg, overextend, prove, and exhaust yourself trying to be enough for someone who doesn't even recognize your worth. Or two, you can level up. You can take all that energy, all that frustration, all that desire for validation and redirect it into becoming the best version of yourself. And here's the real difference between these two choices. When you lower yourself, you send a message not just to the other person, but to yourself, that their approval is more important than your self-respect. You reinforce the belief that their attention defines your value. But when you level up, you flip the script. You shift from being someone who seeks value to someone who embodies it. Because here's the truth, the most powerful thing you can do when someone doesn't recognize your worth is to become so undeniable that they have no choice but to see it. Not through words, not through pleading, not through chasing, but through action. By transforming, by growing, by elevating yourself to a level where their validation no longer even matters. Think about it. Why do people regret losing someone after they've moved on? Why do they suddenly realize someone's value the moment they stop trying to prove it? It's not because the person changed overnight. It's because they stopped needing to be seen, and in doing so became impossible to ignore. But leveling up isn't about revenge. It's not about making them jealous or proving a point. It's about you. It's about shifting from a mindset of lack to a mindset of abundance. It's about recognizing that their rejection is not a reflection of your worth, it's an opportunity to grow. So how do you do it? How do you stop lowering yourself and start leveling up? One, shift your focus from them to you. Let's be honest. How much time have you spent thinking about them? Wondering what they're doing, analyzing their actions, replaying conversations in your head. Now imagine if that time, that energy, that focus was directed toward yourself. Imagine if instead of trying to decode their behavior, you invested in becoming the kind of person who doesn't even have time to worry about whether someone sees their value. Because that's what leveling up is. It's a shift from external validation to internal growth. It's deciding that your happiness, your success, and your confidence are not dependent on anyone else's recognition. Two, upgrade every area of your life. When you feel rejected, the knee-jerk reaction is often to obsess over that rejection, to stay stuck in the pain of it, to let it define you. But what if instead you let it fuel you? What if instead of dwelling on what you lost, you focused on everything you have yet to gain? Leveling up means looking at every area of your life, your mindset, your health, your career, your passions, and asking yourself, where can I grow? Maybe you start hitting the gym not for them, but because feeling strong and confident changes how you carry yourself. Maybe you start developing a new skill, not to impress anyone, but because becoming more capable increases your own sense of worth. Maybe you start surrounding yourself with people who uplift you, not because you need a distraction, but because being in the right environment elevates your mindset. It's about building yourself, expanding yourself, becoming more instead of shrinking into less. 3, develop an unshakable mindset. You know what the most powerful people have in common? They don't break when they don't get what they want. They don't crumble when someone rejects them. They don't attach their value to external approval. Because they know that rejection is redirection. They know that when something or someone leaves their life, it's making space for something better. And that's a mindset shift that changes everything. Because when you start seeing setbacks as setups for something greater, you stop taking things personally. You stop making someone's lack of appreciation a reflection of your worth. You stop seeing closed doors as failures and start seeing them as opportunities to elevate. 4. Master the art of moving in silence. Here's a mistake people make when they start leveling up. They make it about the other person. They announce it, they try to make sure the person knows they're leveling up, but the most powerful growth happens in silence. You don't need to post about it. You don't need to prove anything. You don't need to make it a show. Just put in the work. Just build yourself. Just evolve, not for them, but for you. And what happens? One day they look up and you're not where they left you. One day they realize that the person they thought would always be chasing them is now so far ahead that they can't even reach them because you didn't lower yourself, you leveled up. Let's talk about power. Not the kind that controls others, not the kind that plays games, but the kind that radiates from within. The kind of power that makes people stop and take notice without you saying a word. The kind of power that makes you magnetic, and it all starts with one shift. You stop chasing and start becoming. Because here's the truth. People don't value what's easily available. They don't cherish what they didn't have to work for. They don't admire what constantly seeks their approval. The moment you stop seeing yourself as someone who needs to be chosen and start seeing yourself as someone who chooses, the entire dynamic shifts. You become the prize. But let's be clear, this isn't about arrogance. This isn't about ego. This isn't about looking down on others. It's about understanding your worth so deeply that you don't feel the need to convince anyone else of it. It's about walking into a room and knowing that you bring something valuable to the table, that your presence, your energy, your time, your love, your loyalty, those are all gifts. And not everyone deserves access to them. So how do you do it? How do you go from chasing to attracting? How do you shift from hoping to choosing? One, own your standards and stop apologizing for them. The fastest way to become the prize, stop accepting less than you deserve. Because here's the thing, high-value people don't beg for what should be freely given. They don't tolerate half efforts. They don't entertain inconsistency. They set the bar, and if someone can't reach it, they don't lower it. But most people struggle with this. They're afraid that if they demand more, they'll end up with nothing. They're afraid that if they walk away from what's mediocre, they won't find anything better. That's scarcity thinking, and it keeps people stuck in cycles of chasing, settling, and accepting crumbs when they deserve the whole feast. Becoming the prize means shifting into abundance thinking. It means knowing that if one opportunity doesn't work out, there are plenty more. If one person doesn't see your value, there are plenty who will. If one door closes, it's because something better is on the way. And once you believe that, you stop being afraid to say no. You stop compromising on what matters to you. You stop apologizing for expecting effort, consistency, and respect. Because you know you're not asking for too much. You're just asking the wrong people. 2, build a life that excites you with or without them. Let's be real. People can feel desperation. They can sense when you're making them the center of your world. They can feel when you're looking to them for validation, happiness, or fulfillment. And that energy, it repels. But when you're fully engaged in your life, when you have passions, goals, and dreams that excite you, you stop looking to anyone to complete you. You become whole. And that's powerful because people are drawn to those who are already fulfilled. They're intrigued by those who don't need them, but choose to include them. They respect those who have a strong sense of purpose and direction. So ask yourself, what lights you up? What excites you? What makes you feel alive? It could be fitness, it could be travel, it could be a creative passion, a business venture, a personal goal. Whatever it is, commit to it. Because when you have a life that excites you, you don't have time to chase. You don't have time to sit around waiting for someone to validate you. You don't have time to worry about who's paying attention because you're too busy living. And ironically, that's when people start paying attention. 3, master emotional control and stop reacting. The most powerful person in any interaction is the one who is least emotionally reactive. Think about that. The moment you stop reacting to every little thing, the moment you stop letting other people dictate your mood, the moment you stop getting thrown off by how someone else acts, that's the moment you take back your power. Because people test you. They pull away to see if you'll chase. They act inconsistent to see if you'll tolerate it. They push buttons to see if they can control your emotions. But when you stay calm, when you don't panic, when you don't over-explain, when you don't break just because someone isn't giving you what you want, you show them something rare. You show them that you are not easily shaken. And that's attractive. That's commanding. That's the energy of someone who knows they are the prize. 4, let people earn you. You wouldn't give a total stranger the keys to your house, right? So why do so many people give away their time, energy, and love to people who haven't even earned it? The truth is, when you value something, you don't hand it out freely. You don't just give it away to whoever asks. You protect it. You guard it. You make sure that the people who receive it have proven that they deserve it. Becoming the prize means understanding that you are that valuable thing. Your attention, it's valuable. Your kindness, it's valuable. Your love, your support, your presence, all valuable. And when something is valuable, it must be earned. Not through games, not through manipulation, but through consistency, respect, and effort. When someone is truly interested, they won't mind putting in the work. They won't complain about your standards. They won't get frustrated that you're not instantly available. They'll rise to the occasion. And if they don't, if they pull away, if they get frustrated, if they expect you to do all the work, that's your answer. Because when you're the prize, you don't chase, you don't beg, you don't prove, you simply exist in your worth and let the right people come to you.